If you're a business owner and you find running a business blooming hard sometimes, or worse, all of the time, there are a bunch of reasons for that. What I've understood in 35 years helping business owners is that we can break this down into 10 core areas. And if we can fix each of those areas, then the chances are we can actually make a bit more money and have an easier life and reduce the worry, reduce the stress, and just make the whole thing much more fun and a bit more rewarding. Most businesses are doing okay, but the sacrifice of the owner, the work they've got to do, and the pressures and the stresses sometimes leave it a bit questionable. We ended up creating a course and writing a book on it, which you can go and grab all that absolutely free. And that came from helping our own clients for best part of 35 years, thousands of clients, me learning and talking to and speaking to all of our clients over all of the years to get to a point where I thought, why can't we just summarize this and make it easy for future clients to really understand so that we can help them faster? And that's really the name of the game here, is to make it a fast result for you. So in this little book at the front of it is a little scorecard. There's 10 questions, and you can do this during this video, or you can grab the scorecard below and do it later on. Each question you score out of 10. And it's dead simple, and it's subjective to what you think the answer is. So there's neither a right answer or a wrong answer. And that is that if the answer to the question is, oh yes, I do that really well, that's not a problem in our life, that's a 10. And if you have an answer that's like, oh no, that's a long way off, we've got a long way to go before we get anywhere close to making that bit work, then that's a 1. And each of the 10 questions you're going to score. And what we want to do is we want to identify the worst 3 questions, because that will give you a clue. And what I'll explain in a minute is how all of the questions interlink. What you'll find is if you can fix the worst 3, it will have a knock-on effect on the other 7. And actually, that will have a knock-on effect on your entire business. And it will take away some of that stress, some of that worry, and some of that overwhelm. In the book, we explain all about that. But here is often where the problems lie in your business. And you'll be the judge of this. You either have a people problem, and that could be that you've got staff issues giving you a hard time, suppliers causing you a problem, or even customers causing you a problem. Or it could be that you've got a health problem. A lot of people struggle when they have lots of overwhelm and lots of stress with mental health. And it's much more of a common thing to hear people having those conversations these days, is that you've got to look after your mental health. You've also got to look after your diet, and you've also got to have some exercise. Because if you as a person are not performing at your best, that's also going to have an impact on your energy towards your business and your ability to perform. Then we have business problems. A lot of people say they need more sales. A lot of people say they need more consistent sales. And very few people challenge the profitability of their business. And we're going to go through a lot of that as we go through this explanation. But when you have business problems and you have people problems, you almost definitely have money pressure. Those money pressures that cause you to have sleepless nights, and where you worry about having enough money to pay the bills, pay the taxes, the VAT, pay the rent. All those sorts of things are often because you've got a business problem and maybe a people problem as well. You might have a health problem and a business problem, in which case often that leads to exhaustion. Sometimes business owners just aren't very healthy because they're busy working so hard that the diet's gone out the window. And over 10 years, the middle-age spread has kicked in. Maybe you put on a few pounds and you're feeling overweight. You're feeling basically lacking in energy. And that lack of energy is going to have an impact on your business and create some exhaustion. There is a far too common understanding of business owners where they believe it's like a badge of honor, #TeamNoSleep, or they just feel like they have to work harder than everybody else and then tell you all about it. It kind of doesn't make sense if you really think about it. Who wants to work for 40 years harder than anybody else to end up with less results than anybody else, or end up with more than anybody else, but actually completely and utterly screwed as far as your health is concerned and relationships and everything else? And then another common thing that I hear from people, I've got no time. Well, if you've got no time, it's inevitably caused by too many people demanding your time in your life, and that is having an impact on your mental health and capacity to deal with that. When you think about it, we all have 24 hours in a day. You have no more time than I do, no less time than I do. It's just about decisions as to how you use that time. And then I'll talk to business directors and they'll say, yeah, but I've got all these staff and they need me to help them, and I can never get my stuff done because I've got to look after them and help them. And I get it, which is why you never get anything done, which makes you very inefficient, which then, if you've got no time and it's going to have an impact on your health, and these people don't know how to respect your time, then it's going to have an impact on you and your business. Okay. So what I'm going to help you understand here is this isn't just about fixing your business. I'm much more interested in fixing the whole of life. Yes, we want a great business and we want to earn some money and be financially wealthy. We also want to have some fun and some good times along the way. We also maybe want to have a great relationship along the way. We also want to have good health and fitness along the way. So all of these things are part of life, and they all have an impact on the other one. If you're not very healthy, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you could be employed. You're not going to be very good at your job if you're not very healthy and you're not looking after yourself. So that's kind of where I'm at. And when we started looking at all of this, we all arrive at point A, which is kind of the rock. This symbolizes the rock that you're stood on today. You are where you are today because of all the thoughts and emotions and decisions that you made up to this point. Good or bad, right or wrong, you can't really change it. Whatever you decided a couple of years ago to do, and whatever you decided a year ago, and whatever you decided 3 months ago, and whatever you decided yesterday and today, you are watching this, arriving at your point based on those decisions and habits that you've had in the past. And I assume that you want to improve rather than go backwards. And at this point here, point B, if you implement some of the things that you might learn from this, is that you might see a little bit of change between point A and point B. And that little bit of change is only a little bit. So in the next couple of months, you might notice a bit of change, but maybe not huge change. But over time, the gap between where you could have ended up versus where you might end up could be huge as a result of implementing these here. You've got to get to point B before you get to point C, and between A and B is where you do all the work. Now, for a lot of our clients, when we meet them for the first time, it might take 3 to 6 months to sort out a lot of things that are causing all this over here. For some, it takes a little bit longer. For a few, it doesn't take very long at all, depending on the type of business. And the point of the scorecard is that I don't know what your core problem is, your core pain point is, but if I can use the scorecard to help you find the solution and then give you answers to fix each of those points, I can help you get from point A to point B by you actually doing the work and implementing it. It's of course the core thing. So getting from point A to point B to point C, and this is just a timeline, quite simply. Your timeline may be different to other people's timeline. It doesn't matter. But we're looking to make some significant changes so that somewhere down the line, maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you look back and you might, I hope, look back and go, hey, I saw that guy on that video. He gave me a bunch of stuff and my life has actually changed for the better thanks to some of the things I learned in that video. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And again, if you want to grab the book, Rock Solid Growth 2.0, link below, as well as the scorecard. And the book comes with a free course, absolutely free, where I go into even more of this within the context of this conversation to get you from point A to point B to point C. Also in the course, you get to meet my partner, Vicky. She's an amazing coach and mentor as well. Also a hypnotherapist. And she'll give you some tips and advice from a different perspective. So what does all this mean over here? In the center of these 3 circles is actually our goals and dreams. These are the things that we want to achieve as an individual. We want a great life. We want more money. We want to be happy. I don't think I've met anybody that doesn't want to be happy or happier. You might be very happy. You want to be happier or maintain happiness. Cool. That makes sense, doesn't it? But a little bit more money, a little bit happier. Fantastic. That's the sort of things we want. Now, that might result in material gains. You might want to move house. You might want to help your children through university. You might want to go on holiday, a new car, all sorts of things you want to spend your money on. That's entirely up to you. But we, first of all, need to make sure we have the money, and secondly, the time to enjoy it, but also the mental time to enjoy it. It's no good having the money and then taking some time off if mentally you can't actually put work down. I'm talking to a client at the moment, relatively new client. Him and his wife have just been off 2 weeks in Croatia, and she's complaining because most evenings he was doing his emails and asking her to do paperwork while they're on holiday. And she was giving him a hard time about it. Quite right too. So you've got to be able to switch off as well. Otherwise it has an impact on your health because you've got to rest. So over this side, we've got 3 more circles, and this is going to be impacted by price, systems, and positioning. And this is really important to understand, because if you've got good positioning, and I'll explain all of these as we go along, and good pricing of your products and services, you're going to have better choice. You're going to have a better choice of life, choice of how you utilize your time, choice of who you work with, choice of what you do with your rewards. And if we've got a good pricing system and we've got good systems, you will end up actually having more money. And if you've got good systems and good positioning, you'll get your time back. So we can combat some of these no time situations over here. We can combat some of the money issues and some of the choice issues over here to get rid of the exhaustion and the worry and the stress. So this is why it's interlocking. You'll now see where the 10 questions come from. The 10 questions come from the one in the middle about goals and dreams, 3-round price, 3-round systems, and 3-round positioning. That gives you 10 individual questions. And all we're simply going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, or you're going to ask yourselves, what are you going to score yourself out of 10? 10 being, I'm the best at that. This is perfect score. And 1 being, I've got a lot of work to do. So let's start off with price. The most important number that affects everything is what you charge for your goods and services. The price, the amount that you charge. So if you charge an hourly rate and it is £100 an hour, okay, that's a price. And if you multiply it by hours, you can work out how much you could earn, give or take a few hours. So the unit measure times the amount that you sell, the unit number you sell, is going to give you the sales figure that you're aiming to achieve. Therefore, the question is, are you the most expensive in your niche, field, district, area, wherever you're operating from? So if you were a plumber, are you the most expensive plumber in town? If you were an accountant, are you the most expensive accountant in town? If you're a designer, are you the most expensive designer in your field? If you design super yachts, as some of our clients do, if you design super yachts, are you the most expensive? And you might say, well, I know the guy down the road's a little bit more expensive than me. So you might score a 6 or a 7. Or you might say, and this is what we also see, no, I am the cheapest. I get lots of business for being the cheapest. Well, if you think you are the cheapest in your niche, then you're going to score a 1. And the reason for that is simply, if somebody else is charging more than you are, why can't you? That might lead to other things. So this question about amount, we'll cover it in another video and really go into that in depth, because it's not just about putting up your prices. Mathematically, you could take £100 an hour and charge 110 and you would make more money. But there's a whole lot of things that go around that and a bunch of things that you have to do. And we'll start to explore some of this in here, but there'll be a whole video just on that one alone. So if that's you, we'll come to that towards the end. The next thing about price is quality. And I call it quality because it's the quality that you believe you do for your services and your goods. I know over the years, I've been doing this for 35 years, there's been some times where I've delivered a service to the client and I've come away and thought, I don't know what's wrong with me today, but I wasn't on all 4 cylinders. I wasn't a 10 out of 10. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't sleep very well. Maybe my diet was out. Maybe I wasn't feeling well. Or maybe it just didn't happen. What could I do to do better? Well, I'll fix that next time. I'll make up for it next time. I will do better. But what you score yourself for quality is important, because if you're not the best at what you do, maybe there's some improvement. That might also have an impact on why you don't charge the full amount. The guy down the road charges more because he might be better than you. Okay? So your judgment of your quality, 10 is you're the best in the world. 1 is you're only just getting started. Value is the one next to it. Difference between value and quality. In this example, quality is what I think I'm worth, how good I am. Value is what do I think my clients think of me? What are my customers? What would they score me out of 10? You might not know. So you're going to score quite a low score because you just don't know. You might have a very good relationship with your clients and customers. They compliment you, they send you nice letters, they recommend you to other people. You might have some sort of net promoter scoring system that's going on in your world, and you might actually know. Then score it. What we're looking for is 10 out of 10 for each of those three things. Now, if you score 10 out of 10 for each of those three things, then price is pretty good, yeah? Fix that problem. What about systems? Accounting systems. Do you have a up-to-date accounting system? Are you keeping all your numbers? Are you doing all your bookkeeping, or somebody's doing it? VAT returns on time, running reports off of it regularly, daily, weekly, monthly. Have you got a budget, a forecast? Are you using the numbers to explore whether or not those numbers can tell you something about your business results to see if you can change what you do? It's called accounting. I've actually spent most of my career as an accountant. I actually looked after thousands of clients, of my own clients, as an accountant, since trained as a coach and a mentor. So I understand all about accountancy. And I can promise you, I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses over the years with pretty poor accounts. Today's modern systems with cloud-based accounting systems has made it a whole lot better. But a lot of people get the stuff put into the accounting system and never read it, and never pull the data out, never question it. Send it off to the accountant, expect them to come up with some magic answer to it. Okay? So where are you scoring? 10 out of 10 because you utilize the system every day, every week, every month, and you're doing budgets and forecasts, or 1 out of 10 because somebody else does it and you haven't got a clue what's going on in there. I've called this one business systems because it depends on what business you've got. If you've got a small consulting business, your other systems might be simply how you book appointments in your calendar. Do you use an online booking system, or do you spend all day having telephone tennis or email tennis to try and organize an appointment? If you have no systems for organizing appointments, if you have no systems for gathering other data within your business or analyzing data within your business, maybe product data or quality data, if you haven't got systems that are really good for looking after the data inside your business that's outside the accounting and outside sales and marketing, then you're not going to score very high. But again, we will talk to lots of business owners who complain they don't have any time, and then you say, show me your calendar. And in their calendar, they've got various appointments scattered out throughout the week. And in between those appointments, which are often appointments with other people, there's great big bits of blank, which basically means they are not planning their time for the most important jobs of the day. They're coming out of a meeting and then just wandering around, allowing everybody to interrupt them and never getting important things done because they never have the time to do it because everybody's stealing their time. So business systems is a score. You can decide whether or not that is good or not. Sales and marketing system. The easiest way to describe a good sales and marketing system: have you got a system that works consistently and brings in repeatable, ongoing business? If it's something that's like a handle, you can wind it up to get more business and you can slow it down to, if you're too busy. Or is it a bit random? Is it a bit relying on a few recommendations or a bit of hope that it all comes in? That will dictate whether you score a 10 out of 10. 10 is you've got a perfect system that you can turn on and turn off and you're fully on it and it's generating leads like gangbuster. And 1 if you have no system at all. So when we look at systems, we've got accounting systems, business systems, and sales and marketing. A lot of them will be driven by technology in today's society. If you have poor systems, one simple way to know you have poor systems is you're probably feeling stressed and overwhelmed. nearly always, stress and overwhelm is because of poor systems. If they're worried, if they're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning worrying, more often than not, it's going to be related to money, or it's going to be related to staff because staff aren't delivering the quality you expect, or it's going to be related to customers because customers aren't valuing what you do. So the worry side of things often is connected with the pricing part of it. Then we turn to positioning. Positioning, when I first learned about positioning from my mentor a long, long time ago, I didn't know what this really was. I didn't understand it. Since then, I've studied, I've learned, I've implemented, and I now really understand to the point that I talk to our clients all the time about positioning. Positioning requires three things. One of the three things it requires is a simple set of rules and boundaries, if you like. And these aren't to be confused with values, although off of rules, you could go deeper. Each one of these, you could go deeper if you wanted to for your business. So rules and boundaries, you might go into the values and those sorts of things, and ISO 9000s and stuff like that. You might really go deep on this, but simple rules are, for example, keep off the grass is a really simple rule, nice and memorable. What sort of rule would you have within your business? We just have 6 rules in our business. One of the rules is we will start meetings and end meetings on time. Simple rule, start meetings, end meetings on time. And the reason that we came up with those rules is that if we take that as an example, if we don't start a meeting on time or we don't finish on time, that's my weakness. I get a bit enthusiastic and often overrun, so I build in buffers to allow for that. But the criteria is if I don't stick to that, I suffer. If I turn up late for a meeting, I suffer because it's going to impact the quality and the value I'm delivering for my client. Okay, it puts me in a stress mode if I'm late. If I finish late in a meeting, if I let a meeting overrun, it's almost going to impact something afterwards that I should be doing. Either another meeting, another client, or time in between meetings to do important things at my desk, right? So starting meetings and ending meetings on time is one of 6 rules, and only 6 rules, that we've spent a long time really thinking about this within our little business. Me and Vicky and the team, we just sit here and went, these are the 6 rules that we have to follow in order to make sure that our business works out. So we can score 10 out of 10 for that. We've got rules and we stick to them. What about you? Do you have rules in your business? You might not have any rules, in which case it's not going to score very high. Another one of our rules is we only take on ideal clients that fit our avatar profile. We don't take on everybody and anybody. Here's where you can see things like rules will then connect to your sales and marketing, which might also connect to your price. Because we help our clients on a often one-on-one basis or in our group 5% mastermind program. And there's a finite amount of people we can help, and there's a finite amount of time that Vicky and I have to help those people. And I don't want to spend my time and energy, and I certainly don't want to waste client money paying us to help them if they're the wrong client. So we have a qualification criteria, and one of the rules is we only act for our ideal clients. Outward projection is another example of positioning. When I started my career back in a very long time ago, back in the late 1980s, I think it was the late 1980s, I started working for a traditional firm of accountants, and I had to wear a suit, and I just looked like a schoolboy. I was gangly, suit didn't fit properly because it was a cheap one because I didn't have very much money. I was a trainee and I wore the suit every day. I hated wearing this suit every day. And I was led to believe that a suit would be professional. And in certain circumstances and in certain environments, I get it. But the outward projection of yourself is actually often to do with your confidence. It's often to do with the language you use to the outside world. I know that Vicky and I are world class at what we do. We are the best. We really are the best at what we do for the people that we help. And we know this because we've got a track record. But it's taken years to get that track record and build that belief level up that I can stand in front of you and say, yeah, we are world class. We are still learning. We are still enthusiastic and energetic about our future and the future of our clients. I know that we're bloody good. So my outward projection is that I'm portraying that to you, that I am the best. Confident because we've helped thousands of clients and we've got results after results after results. Okay. So that confidence comes with that output. How do you feel? I've met business owners who actually tell me, no, I'm not very confident. I don't think I'm that good. I think I'm a bit lucky. I've got this work and I'm a bit lucky. And worse still, the staff or the team that work with them may not be delivering the right message. Can you imagine being in maybe a really luxurious hotel or some sort of luxury environment where the customer is paying thousands, tens of thousands of pounds for a night's stay? Let's say, for example, it was in a really smart hotel in London where you get your personal butler. And can you imagine if that personal butler came in and went, well, and talked down about the company and talked down about being a butler? It just wouldn't be right because the outward projection wouldn't be right. So that butler or the staff are trained to deliver the message of the company. So this is why there are plenty of people out there doing staff training. It's a really important thing. So you're all singing off the same hymn sheet. How's your outward projection for your company? If it's brilliant, if you're the best, if you're world class, 10 out of 10. But if you know there's room for improvement, score accordingly. Second to last one is your self-talk, your internal dialogue. Do you hear yourself saying, oh, I'm not very confident? Do you hear yourself saying, oh, I don't know whether I deserve this? I'm always a failure. You ever found people who are always saying, oh, I'm always injuring myself. I'm so clumsy. And yet they're so clumsy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Our self-talk is really important. And therefore, if you catch yourself talking negatively inside your head, you kind of need to snap out of that because that's not going to do you any good. It's certainly not going to do your long-term mental health any good. But it's also not going to do your outward projection any good. It means you're not going to stick to your rules so well. So internal self-talk is really important. And the last thing is goals and dreams. Goals and dreams are really important. And one thing I learned from a coach in the last 3 or 4 years, joined his program and I went to him because I found that although I understood all of this, I found sometimes my energy would drop. There'd be days where I'm like today, I'm full of it. And there'll be other days where I get my arse around a little bit and my energy levels dropped. And I went to him to learn about what he did to keep his energy up because he always seemed to have high energy. And I realized a couple of really important things that kind of brought home to me is one, I really needed to work on my health. I needed to work on my diet, my exercise, my hydration, my mental health. So health and fitness was brought home to me that I needed to up my game. But the other thing that deals with energy, and I had a conversation only last week with a young lad who's in our 5% mastermind group, and he was just struggling with motivation. And I said to him, so what are you aiming to do? What's the goal? Why do you do what you're doing? And he gave me some lame thing about paying off his credit card this month. And don't get me wrong, that's a good goal. Pay your credit card off. Don't have credit card debts, right? But it didn't excite him. He didn't have any energy about his goals because his goals were a little bit flat because he'd been having a tough time for a little while. And like many business owners, when we talk to them and we say, what are your goals and dreams? They have got goals and dreams, but they're so far back in the back of your mind, tucked away in the drawer, collecting dust, you're kind of forgotten about them, particularly if you had perhaps some sizable goals you wanted to achieve. Big birthdays often do it. I want to achieve this by the time I'm 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. These are kind of little pegs in the ground that you kind of imagine when you're younger, that's what I want to be. And then you hit your 40th birthday or your 50th birthday and you realize you're nowhere near it. And that almost can be a negative. That could be a big, massive disappointment, which you don't really address. You just put it off with words. But what's really happening is you've forgotten your goals. And the reason you've forgotten your goals is because they're not out in front of you. And so one of the things that we highly recommend is that you actually look at your goals every single day. You actually think about them. Okay. You actually look at in terms of the manifestation of them. And I'm not getting all woo-woo on you on this one, but that shit works, right? It really does work. If you think about your goals all of the time and you start to believe it's possible, suddenly you'll have a little bit more energy. If you look after your health as well, suddenly you can tackle these things. And this is where this scorecard, I hope, really helps you because now you've got something like a checklist. These 10 items, which is 9 around the outside and goals in the middle, if you are writing down your goals every single morning and every single evening and you're thinking about them every single day, all of the time, you can score a 10 out of 10. If you haven't thought about your goals for months or years, you're a 1. So out of these things around the outside, the price, the amount you charge, most expensive, quality, are you the best? Value, do you think your clients believe you're the best? Do you have a great accounting system? Are all your business systems sorted? You've got a great calendar system and you manage your time really well and your staff's time really well. Great marketing and sales system. You got rules and boundaries written. Everybody follows them. Everybody sticks to them. Your self-talk is great and your outward projection is great. Those 10 things, what are your 3 lowest? Because let's say your lowest is, I don't know, let's say it's the amount you charge and you have no rules and maybe you've got a poor sales and marketing system, maybe even a poor accounting system. That could be where you're at in your set of scores. Could even be that you're over here with outward projection. You might have a belief level issue. You don't believe. Well, if you don't believe you can charge more, don't you think we could work on that? If you don't have any rules, then you just might be a bit disorganized. You might be, and here's something that I see, you might be all over the place with your pricing. You might have people in your team, or you might have a method for pricing up your next job where you just go with your gut feeling, driven a little bit by your own belief of what you think the customer will pay, and you end up with a price. And it's only if you were to check that in your accounting system and actually do some proper checks to see job by job how each job is, makes its own profit, or the part or the service or the thing that you sell, whatever it is you sell, work out the profitability per item, you might discover that they're all over the place. I was talking to somebody who was a designer and they do design jobs. Some of them are itty bitty little design jobs. Some of them are really big jobs and some are in the middle. And they have a team of people working on these design jobs. And I explained to them that the job of design is worth X amount of pounds to the client and you will spend Y time doing it. Therefore, the difference on that job is your profit. Which jobs are more profitable? The big jobs, the middle-sized jobs, or the little jobs? No idea. No idea. They didn't have a clue. What we actually discovered, that the really big jobs were less profitable. They brought in more money, which was good, but in terms of profitability, they were far less. So you could do 10 little jobs or 10 mid-sized jobs for one big job. The 10 mid-sized jobs would generate more profit than the one big job. So it's got nothing to do with sales, although selling 10 mid-sized jobs versus one big job, arguably one big job is easier to sell, but the profitability was affected on the big jobs. Not that it was a case of the figures were right or wrong. It was more important to understand that the client didn't have a clue. No idea to even test this. So your accounting system can help you identify your prices. It can help you understand your belief level, because the reason he wasn't charging even more for the bigger jobs, and all he simply had to do was put the price up on the bigger jobs to get the same sort of margin, was that job at that rate was a lot more than this job. And he thought, well, I must be maxed out. So these are sort of little bits of complexities that go on in here. You might also discover your sales and marketing system isn't working very well, which means your pricing isn't working very well, or you need to put your pricing up, which you need to find a different type of customer to pay for that type of service or that product than this customer. So there's a group of customers that are price buying customers. They just buy on price. There's another group of customers that we all have that don't care about the price. They want really good quality. They value quality over price. You might be fishing in the pond for the price buyers and getting all the cheap people who are buying everything on price. And there's a bunch of people over here that would love your services, but actually think you're too cheap. And therefore they don't believe the value in what you're doing is enough because you're too cheap. And it may be that you are the best, you're just too cheap. So as you can see, each of these are all intertwined with each other. So your mission, if you wish to, is to go and grab the scorecard. You can, by all means, get a copy of the book. I'm happy to send it to you. Fill the form in, £5 for shipping, and we'll send you this little book. Or just go into the 28-day Biz course. You can get a PDF version of the book in there. I think there's an audio book. There's some more videos like that this in here. The scorecard is in there as well, and the scorecard is below for you. Grab the scorecard and score yourself, and then take action. So today, point A, you've done the scorecard. You've identified 3 or 4 areas of your business that need improving. And I think it's fair to say that if you improved those 3 or 4 areas, not only would it improve the score on each one, it probably have a knock-on effect on other things. So other things that are scoring 7, 8, 9 might go to a 10 if you fix this one thing that's a 3 because of the interlink between these. And between point A and point B, go fix these things. Might take you a week, might take you a month, might take you 6 months, might take you a year. Doesn't really matter. It's got to be fixed. That's the thing that I've learned over 35 years. And I will have clients come back to me and I'll go, so have you fixed your pricing problem yet? No, I haven't fixed the pricing problem yet. Yeah, well, we talked about this a year ago. Yeah, I know, but I don't believe I can. So we have to do an awful lot of work on belief. That's where the coaching comes in. So we do a lot of work on belief. This is also where some of our clients go and get some hypnotherapy because they really have a mental blockage. We can show with evidence that the guy down the road is selling the same thing for much more money, but they can't believe they can sell it, right? It's quite fascinating as you talk to so many people. But between point A and point B, you're going to put some work in to fix all these things. And now you've got like a bit of a roadmap and a plan. You go, well, and rescore yourself in 6 months' time, and then keep doing that. And over time, you should see better results. You should see an improvement in the most important number on your set of accounts, profit. We want to see the profit go up. We want to see it much more profitable. But also consider your time. How can you have better quality time and or more time to yourself to do the things that are important? That could be more time with your family and your loved ones, a few more date nights, proper quality time with the children or grandchildren, or whoever's in your life that's important to spend time with, or more time to do the more important things that you said you'd do at work. Maybe you've got some new products that you're working on, new ideas. Maybe you've got to improve your marketing system because you know you can do it, but you just don't have time to get to it and you need to do more marketing. All of these things come as a result of scoring these simple 10 out of 10 questions. So the overall results out of 100. And I genuinely think it can help you because we have clients using it all of the time. If any one of these points is a low point for you, you are going to see in this little series 10 more videos where I'm going to dive into each of these individual points in much more detail to try and give you some clues and ideas as to how to go ahead and do this implementation. So tune into those. See you in the next one.